Hello, friends.
Hi.
We're back together again.
Yay, we're on episode 66.
Yeah.
Hurrah.
Hooray. Okay. All right, friends. Welcome back to another exciting episode.
We're on episode 66, and our topic today is planning your homeschool year.
Yes, this is great for a couple of reasons. Whether you're seasoned or brand new, sometimes it's good to see what somebody else is doing to kind of get a vision. But there are so many new homeschoolers that are feeling very, very lost. And so, once again, it's sometimes good to see what somebody else is doing.
I've been getting texts and phone calls every day from new people starting homeschooling lately, the last month. And it's exciting to me. I know there's so many of you that are new and are stressed and overwhelmed, and it's a big, scary step to do. So we hope we can kind of walk you through this and calm some of those nerves and help you figure this out.
Yeah. Well, and I just think it's been such a blessing that Karen was the one who asked me, like, I think we're supposed to do a podcast together.
It was.
And
and I was kind of scared to do it.
Yeah.
And Megan was like, oh, yeah, right away. Which is funny because I'm not super into putting myself on video and out there like this. It's uncomfortable for me, but I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool that we have this resource now for all of our friends and family members and people that are coming to us for help, that I can just send them right to the podcast now, because we have every answer to every question people have asked.
You know what's fun is I actually am going to be working with a co-op that's just starting. They're all brand new homeschoolers, and they're going to be listening to a podcast episode, and then I get to do a Q&A with them for the month.
Oh, neat.
And so those are some fun resources that are like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's listen to this episode, everybody, and then you get to talk to Meg.
That's cool.
I'm excited about that.
All right, so let's dive on in.
Yeah. Luckily, like, this is one of the years I've been on the ball and actually planned our
I actually haven't planned my school year yet this year. But I don't really feel like I need to do it, because I feel like the schedule that I did last year is pretty much the same as what I'm doing this year.
Yeah.
And it's pretty consistent. I just change up the books we're reading and things like that. And that I need to figure out.
Yes.
But mostly because I've got it down after doing it so long, I know our plan.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
My outline is pretty much the same, but I was actually able to sit with my 3 oldest kids and actually pick their books.
Oh, yeah.
But some of our group subjects, I'm like, I know it will be art, but I don't know the artist yet.
Yeah. There's a few details like that, obviously, I need to figure out too. But we have our typical routine, and that is nice to know and not feel that stress and pressure each year.
Like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah, so if you are brand new to homeschooling, I think one of the biggest first steps is kind of just figuring out what you want your homeschool to look like. And that can be a complicated question. We're going to do a whole episode on that, planning your homeschool vision. That's our next one.
Because when I started homeschooling, I just literally jumped in.
Yeah, and I did too. I had no idea what I was doing. And I did the K-12 online for my first year. I had one child doing kindergarten, and I was overwhelmed and I was scared and I was nervous, and that was an easy starting point because they sent me all the materials and I just logged on and they told me what to do and I did it. And it wasn't my favorite curriculum by any means, but it was a really easy starting point for me. And I think sometimes when you're thrown into something, sometimes an easy starting point is what you need, and that's okay. So don't feel stress or pressure over that. But if you don't have time to figure out this vision, if you just have to start and get going, that's okay too sometimes.
Yeah, because we'll go into way more depth into this next week, but sometimes you don't even know what your vision could be until you jump in and go, oh, now I get it.
And that was kind of it for me too. Once I started researching different types of homeschooling styles, and that year I spent most of the year figuring out what I actually wanted to do. And move forward with plans of things that I really felt like I wanted my child to learn.
Yeah, so definitely tune in next week and we'll do a full episode about creating your vision.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so then once you've kind of got an idea,
or you're just going to go
or you're just diving right in, set some goals for your kids and your school year. So if you have a kindergartner, some goals for that child would be, we want to work on reading, and we want to work on counting, and we want to work on shapes and colors, and whatever it might be that young child is needing that year. Set a few goals for them for what you want that to look like and what you want the end of the year to look like. What have they accomplished?
Yeah, and I think with the older kids, it's especially junior high, and if you do high school age, it's really easy to incorporate them. But I know some of the messages I've been getting are like, this is just a temporary gig.
Right.
We're only homeschooling for a year. We have some high school people who want to make sure their stuff is accredited.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what does that look like, right? So, if your goal is like, I want to study these topics, or I want to master these skills, or I want to make sure I stay on track with the district, I want an accredited program. And so, with some of your older teens, like for my older teens, it's I want this degree or this, I want to get into this college. And so, everything they're doing is to get to where they want to be.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And also, this is a good time to think about your child's strengths and weaknesses, because those can play into what their goals are. Like, for instance, Megan has Porter, who is really into music and playing his guitar, and that's probably a future path that he's going to be taking.
Yeah.
And so he can focus so much of his school on his music and on those skills and developing those skills and creating music because of the choice he's made with his schooling. And so if you can work out situations like that where you're building their strengths and their abilities in that way.
Yeah, it's kind of fun with him. So he's decided to finish up with his associates through a program in Utah. So he'll get his degree through Southern New Hampshire University. And he decided he did want to finish that. And then he is starting to apply to music schools this fall. But he is not actually technically doing school with music. It's just such a passion that he's just like always doing music.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. It's not actually part of his curriculum or what he's doing. It's just become so much part of his life.
Yeah.
So I think that's the real goal with me, right? Is like make it so much so that you want to just learn something because you want to learn something versus
because you love it.
Yeah. Because like I want to.
Yeah. And that's such a beautiful thing about homeschooling is that the kids have more time to do that and develop the loves that they have.
Yeah. So just getting clear on kind of what it is you want to, like, is this just for this year with masks being required at schools? Or are you trying, some people are trying it out, like I kind of wanted to homeschool anyway. And so this is a really good push. So we're going to dip our toes into the water and see how we like it. And I'd like my children to enjoy this so they'd be excited to keep homeschooling. So whatever it is, like get a clear idea, and that's going to help you with the next thing, which is
choosing your curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is a big part. And that's what most people have questions about. How do I pick my curriculum? What are you using? What do you like? What have you not liked? You know, there's so many questions because there are so many options. I was actually online. I like to do SEO research, if anyone knows anything about that, for my blog. And I just typed in the word homeschool to my research tool that I use just to kind of like see what people are searching for right now and what their needs are. And I was just shocked to see like there are, I think it was like 45 billion results for the word homeschool. I'm like, okay, that's overwhelming. If I were new and I were trying to figure out homeschooling and I just typed in homeschool, I would be so overwhelmed. And I remember that feeling because there's so many choices and so many options. So when you are setting your goals and planning your vision, these will play into the type of curriculum you're going to choose. Because if you want your homeschool to be very nature focused, then you would choose something that centers around that. Or if you want your homeschool to be very literature focused, so both of us like a lot in our homes, then you will focus around that. If you want it to follow the school district and the Common Core standards, then you'll look for something that's going to follow along those lines. And so that's going to play a huge role in what you choose.
Yes, and I get asked all the time in coaching and whatnot, and people messaging me about curriculum. And it's funny because they'll be like, I'm sure you've heard of this program. And I'm like, no, I've never heard of it. And so a lot of times too, your curriculum, like if you feel good about it and you've heard a lot of good reviews for it, you may just need to try it and be willing to try a bunch of different curriculums till you find the right one for your style.
Yeah, and it definitely took me several years to find things. And there were new things developed over those years. Like when I started, the curriculum I'm using now was not even around. So The Good and the Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't even developed yet when we started homeschooling. And I was glad that it has worked out for us now. But if you start with something and it's working, then it's okay if that's not what we're using or what your friend is using or whatever, because it's working for you. And that's what matters most of all.
Yes, and it was even cute. I was talking to a seasoned homeschool mom the other day, and there's a program, not really a program, but an idea called Well Educated Heart. And it's really beautiful, connecting with your kids, good literature, and this mom does not like it. And she goes, am I a bad mom if I don't want to use this program? And it was interesting that I was like, no, try something different. And other people are like, I don't like the good and the beautiful. And I just throw it out.
There's a lot of people that don't like it, and that is just fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't offend me, and it doesn't make me less of a homeschooler because I don't like it and she does, or whatever. Yeah. It really is what works for you and what feels right for you. And when I choose my curriculum, I spend a lot of time reading reviews. I have a lot of curriculum reviews on my website for that purpose, but we've tried so many over the years too that I've written a lot of them. But I just do a lot of research, and I like to read especially comparison reviews, where I'll go in and I'll say, okay, the good and the beautiful language arts versus, and I type in another one that I'm considering, and just see if somebody's written a comparison article, because most often they have, and just see, what are the pros and cons of the different things. Maybe somebody's con is your pro, and that's okay too. And so just do a little research and dig a little and see what feels right for your family based on the reviews you read and the style you're looking for.
Yes, and then as you get into it too, you'll find like some books recommended in lots of different places. And so you'll start noticing that, like, oh, this trusted source recommended, this trusted source recommended this one. And then I'll read the Amazon reviews a lot of the time.
I do that also.
And just see, like, do I like this? Does this book seem like it'd be a good fit for our family?
Yeah. So I have written a whole ebook about choosing your homeschool curriculum.
Oh, you're fancy. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. It's called The Quick Guide to Choosing Your Homeschool Curriculum.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is this new?
No, I've had it for a couple of years.
Oh, you have? I don't think you've ever talked about this.
Yeah, I don't know why we haven't. Anyway, I just pulled it up recently because everyone's searching right now. And I did a whole post on it this week that kind of walks you through it. And I also have a YouTube video on it. So if you'd rather watch it or read it or whichever format works for you. But it's just short. It's like a 20-page ebook. But I wrote it, and it just kind of walks you through all these things and all these steps and goes into more depth in a lot of them too. So if you want more, stop by my site, and I'll link that in the show notes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know you'd done that.
Yeah.
Go, Karen.
Woo. All right. Oh, and we also have our podcast episode, 100 Ways to Homeschool.
Yes, I think it's episode 4.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning when we started, and it talks about lots of the different styles of homeschooling to kind of give you an overview of some different things.
Yeah, so that could kind of give you a starting point instead of just Googling different ways to homeschool. Of like, here's a handful, there's that, and Karen's thing, and then you can kind of look through them and just say, oh, seems like it fit well with my personality.
Yeah. All right, so next I think it's important to kind of decide on your schedule. So this is one of the best parts of homeschooling, is that you get to create your own schedule, and you're not relying on anybody else to do that for you or to tell you where to be and when, because it's your choice. And I love that. So there's a lot of different, first you need to think of maybe your yearly schedule.
Yeah.
Are you doing this all year long? When do you want to take vacations?
Always.
Who doesn't? Or when is your term going to end? Megan does a lot with, she's very organized with her terms.
I do. I have 4 12-week terms. And the 3 during the traditional school year are the more in-depth, more of a school, but we're not even a full day, right? But Karen and I both do 4 days a week. But that would be our meatier times where we're doing school. And then the summertime, we still do 12 weeks, but it's like literature, math. If you haven't finished language arts, finish up language arts, scriptures, and read aloud.
Right.
Like there's no group subjects. There's not like Minute with Mom is under a minute for reals.
Love it.
Because there's not much to check.
If you're wondering what Minute with Mom is, go back a couple of episodes. You'll find it. It's awesome.
I don't know when it was.
I don't either, but it's a good one. Okay, so some people like to really strictly follow their school district's schedule. I kind of like to do that just because my kids prefer it. It's funny. They just think that it's great to stay with, what their neighbors are doing. And when they hear their neighbors or friends have a day off, they want that day off. So I'm like, that's fine. All right, we can follow that. You don't have to, but if it works for you. Some people like to do it because they have some kids in school and some not. Or maybe the sports schedules also follow that. There's a lot of, the extracurriculars that will follow the school district's schedule. So it just makes things easier. So we tend to do that. Just I don't know why, we just do.
Yeah,
no
and I
reason
don't,
really.
because I always feel like it's busier, and so like all the little Monday holidays, like I can't even think off the top of my head, but
Memorial Day,
yes,
that's
like
in May, yeah.
Labor Day,
Labor
like
Day.
all these things, we always do school on those days, and then
take off when you want to take off.
Yeah, when everybody else is in school,
and that's another great thing. And then figure out your day and your weekly schedule. Like for instance, we both don't do traditional school on Fridays because we attend a homeschool co-op on Fridays when it's open.
We are really
we're hoping. We'll see what happens. We don't know yet. And then what do you want your day to look like? Do you want to start at 9? Do you want to start at 1? Maybe you're not a morning person and you don't start till after lunch. It can look like whatever you want it to look like, but you do need to figure that out.
Yeah, we start in the morning. I can't think if it's an exact time. I think we have an ish time.
Yeah, we have an
like
ish
9:30 to 10.
Yeah.
And then my kids just have to be done by 5. So I'm usually done teaching by noon, and then they just have to be done by 5.
Yeah.
So they can go play, they can go jump.
Which it doesn't take them till 5 if they actually sat and consistently worked, but they choose for it to take them until 5 often.
Yeah.
So
mostly with one of mine.
Same.
Yeah.
So yeah, you set that schedule and you set what you want it to look like, and as long as you're kind of hitting those goals that you've set for your home and your family, then you're good, right?
Yeah, and then you adapt as needed. If someone gets sick, something happens, like you adapt as needed.
But the nice thing that I love is like for vacations, for instance, when we went to Disneyland, we went in, I think it was October.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, we'll go when everyone's in school and it'll be less crowded if there's ever a less crowded at Disneyland. And I don't know. But that's like the beauty. That's the only time I've taken my family. But that's like the beauty of homeschooling in general, is that because you can set your own schedule, you can decide on your days off, and not following the school district schedule gives you freedom to go to places where they'll be less busy.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing.
Yeah, that's what we do our Christmas trip usually in January, and I wait till everybody's in school, and then we go. And then it's usually we have a beach to ourselves, or lots of, and it's just not as busy traveling time and all that stuff, so it's pretty fun.
All right, so for your daily schedule, I have a couple of things on my website that can help you guys with this. I have like a template that has just like a daily schedule example, and then a blank one for you to fill in and make it your own if you want. That's just a free download. And I also have a whole homeschool planner that you can download on my site as well. But both of us kind of follow a similar format for our daily schedule, where I make a checklist, or like a little daily checklist chart for my kids, so that they have something that they open it, and they, or not open, it's on, I put it on a clipboard and I laminate it, and they dry erase check it off each day.
Oh, okay. Mine is a book, and then I get to design the cover.
Oh, okay.
Like that, like every new term, it's a new cover, and I usually go get it spiral bound. And then it will
that's
last
when they
longer.
take their
so then it has, then they also see how many weeks school is. So there's 12 weeks in there. And then when I'm doing the Minute with Mom, that's what I'm checking.
Okay.
Like, what did you do the day before? Oh, you read your scriptures. Tell me about what you read about. Oh, you read this book. Tell me about what you read about.
Yeah.
Checking if I need to check math, or if I need to check language arts, then I would do that as well.
So mine's just like a one sheet page that I laminate and I put on a clipboard and stick it in their desk. And so they just pull it out and they say, okay, here's Monday's list. Monday, I do math, check. I do language arts, check. I do history, check. And they just go down their little list, and they know exactly what they have to do that day. And I can see, okay, we did it. Can I see what you did? And just kind of check it through it with them.
Yeah, and I didn't do this for a long time because it felt so controlling to me, but it actually ended up being more freeing to my kids. I used to set a time limit on how long they had to read, but I found they'd get into a book they loved, and they would read it for an hour and a half, and then like, well, now I don't have time for all my other books. Yeah. So mine read for 10 minutes, and they narrate for 5 minutes. And the narrating, I mean, that's a whole Charlotte Mason thing, but it's basically you're telling what you read about.
Just telling back what you learned.
Yeah, so draw a picture, write it.
And it's so good for kids to help them remember what they have learned.
And then they have to tell me about it the next day. So that, like, it really gets ingrained. But it was so cute as we were planning for this first thing. They go, oh, good, my school's only 2.5 hours. Mine's only 2 hours and 45 minutes because they could see their timelines. Okay. So they could see, so that doesn't include group subject with me or minute with mom. But they realized like if I just go sit down, I could always be done by lunchtime.
Yeah.
And so it was it's funny because that's so not my personality to give it such a structured time, but it's been incredibly beneficial that all my kids have liked it.
That's cool. So I have never done it with the times, but they just have their list and they can choose the order and whatever they want.
Yes, I can choose the order, but they like that time.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to try that sometime. I'm not that structured either.
Well, but it was funny because mine would binge read.
Mm-hmm. And mine do that also. So I understand that.
If they're reading literature and they're doing
and they love it, yeah.
And so they're like, "Well, it got really good.
I had to read another chapter."
And all of a sudden it's 5:30, and I didn't read anything else. I didn't do my math. I didn't do anything, and so I don't know. It's been received well at my house.
I like that. Okay, and then just my last tip on this is have a check-in with yourself and with your kids. Because sometimes things might not be working well, and that's okay. Like if something isn't going well, just reevaluate it and say why. Why isn't history going well? What's wrong with it? Do we not like the subject we're doing? Do we not like the book we're reading? What can we change so that we are more consistent with doing this, or we enjoy it more? And so just do a little check-in from time to time. Ask your kids, check in with yourself because we need them to.
Yeah.
And reevaluate if needed.
So I was going to just go over what one of my kids' schedule is going to be for this first term. I always do a YouTube I try to always do a YouTube video and go through all my kids. But so hopefully that happens. But if not, here is my 7th grader's schedule. And like I said, we picked this. Basically, I give her a history, and then she picks what goes with it. And sometimes they help if they get stuck, but if they don't, they just know what they want. Okay, so in her little I call it Chicky book because I call everything something weird. So for language arts, she's doing The Good and the Beautiful. Literature, she is still picking away at Les Mis.
Oh, that's a big one.
She and Josh have been taking a year and a half to read this book.
Brennan finished.
Did he really?
And then he read, he's reading Don Quixote now, which is another 1,000-page
yes.
book.
And so they're it's either really great or really terrible. And I've even said, do you guys want to be done? And they're like, no, we got to finish this. So
good for them.
She's still picking away at it. We always read scriptures, so she's doing the New Testament. Math, we are doing teaching textbooks for math. Typing, I literally Googled free typing games, and that's what
I've got a post on that too I can add in for you that's typing websites for kids.
Duolingo, that's just to learn a foreign language, and it's free, so that's great. For science, she wanted to read about Tesla and know a little bit more about him. History, she wants to read the Odyssey, and I guess I don't know, I need to research it more, but the Odyssey's
it's mythology.
Real. That's what I thought, but so she just wanted to know the mythology history.
It's fun.
Character book, Essentialism. I love that book. So on character book, I said here are a bunch you can choose from, and so she picked one. Religion, The Heavens Are Open by Wendy Nelson. That's awesome. I just read that one not too long ago. Finance, Richest Man in Babylon, and then Minute with Mom.
That's awesome.
So that's her schedule. So coming up, I will do my 7th grader, 8th grader, 4th grader, and my preschooler. Yay. Master George is starting school. Fun.
We love preschoolers.
Yes, I literally wrote in my notes, lots of singing and dancing.
Yeah, he's little still. He'll be 3?
He is 3
already. 3 already? Okay.
Yes, it's short and sweet, and I go with their attention span. Those are my notes for preschool.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a kind of an overview for us. Did you have any others you wanted to cover?
Well, just kind of I do group subjects, and it just depends on ages, how many children you have, because when I had just the 6 kids, just 6, but I did group subjects because they were all so little, and they couldn't go and read a big history book on their own. And so I did a lot of history and science and all those things together where I don't do those anymore. So these are the subjects we're doing this term. On Mondays, we're going to do art. And instead of an artist, I think we're going to do like yellow and blue together makes green. So actually, well, Briggy, I don't think I've ever done it for Brick. Okay. And I was like, I don't think he knows these things that I did with the other kids, right? So like shading. And so actually color creating wheels. Art. That's fun. Color wheels, stuff like that. Tuesday, we can't go without poetry and tea time and our composer. Like, I would have an uprising. How do I said that weird. Wednesday, geography, and we are going to continue with David Livingstone because my husband, as soon as travel is open, will be heading right back to Africa, and he was there quite a bit last year, so they're still way into Africa, so we're doing David Livingstone, reading about him, have puzzles. It's really fun.
That's neat.
And then Thursday, we do writing together and just making writing fun, and we do the writing, what is it called? Wonderful Writing Projects by Mary Peterson. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay.
She's got it right here. I'll show you guys.
Yeah. But like simple things like compound words, and it's water, melon, and then you put watermelon together and make a sentence with it, right? Like, I like water. This is a delicious melon. I don't know. Like, that's football and just fun things. So bigger projects, small projects. But we'll just do simple things like that for writing, and just to give a love of writing instead of making writing a chore.
That's great.
So that's kind of like the basics of creating your schedule. And then I guess just watch for YouTube. Are you going to do a YouTube video as well of your actual books?
Yeah, I totally can do that. I should probably plan it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that for you guys. I've done them in the past too, and I'll get a new one up for this year's.
So within hopefully the next few weeks, if not later, both of us will get a different YouTube video up on our own sites of like, here's the actual books we're doing. So that's always great too to see.
Yeah.
And I'll usually give a little clip like I've read, I guess I haven't read Odyssey, but I've read most of the other books they've read, so I can say this one's great or this one's a little dry, but they liked it for some reason. So yeah, it's just really helpful.
Well, let us know if you have any further questions on any of these things, and we're happy to do more. A lot of them, we already have full episodes on some of the topics here. So dig a little further back if you have more questions too first. But thanks so much for tuning in today, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.